Good evening. Am I audible? Is my voice audible?
Good evening, sir. Audible, sir.
Okay. So, a very important pillar of Kant, that is transcendental aesthetics. So far, we had seen the problem of Kant, Kant's synthesis of empiricism and rationalism. Then we saw problem of synthetic judgment a priori. Today, we will address or prove why synthetic judgment a priori is possible in transcendental aesthetics. Okay. We will see space and time are percepts and space and time are a priori percepts. And we will also see transcendental logic, 12 categories of understanding. We had already seen in last class the two distinctions in his philosophy, transcendental aesthetics and transcendental logic. So space and time are a priori percepts. That part we'll be proving today. And in transcendental analytics, 12 categories of understanding. These categories are also a priori. That part we'll be doing today. Okay. So first and foremost, in transcendental aesthetics, we have to first prove that space and time are percepts, and second, space and time is a priori percepts. Okay. So actually transcendental aesthetic के दो पार्ट हैं. इसके एक पार्ट में that is called metaphysical exposition, and the second part is transcendental exposition. In both of them, we will be proving that space and time are a priori percepts. Okay. Straightforward UPSC ने क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया है, what is Kant's view on space and time? Are space and time percepts or concepts? Okay. So we'll make a heading. Transcendental aesthetics. Aim. Part 1. That is metaphysical exposition. Part 2. Transcendental exposition. And then obviously evaluation. On one side, has Kant been able to address Hume's skepticism? On the other side, the criticism of transcendental aesthetics. There is one more thing. There can also be a comparison between space and time versus qualities. This so far UPSC has not asked, but this may be asked in any future paper, because we will see that space and time को भी इन्होंने percept माना है. That is something which is available to us from perception. So a distinction definitely has to be made from secondary qualities also. Okay, so first and foremost, पहली बात तो ये कि ट्रांसेंडेंटल एस्थेटिक्स का क्या मतलब है. Can anybody tell me why he uses the word transcendental? What is the idea in using the word transcendental? Yes. क्योंकि कांट ने अपनी फिलोसफी में कई जगह ट्रांसेंडेंटल शब्द का यूज किया है. Why he calls his philosophy as transcendental? Is Kant? हाँ बोलिए. Yes.
So maybe because he advocates metaphysical statements.
No, Kant was not so much concerned with knowing something in particular, rather knowing in general. मतलब ट्रांसेंडेंटल का मतलब क्या है? समथिंग विच इज गोइंग बियॉन्ड. यस, यस और नो?
Yes, sir.
So he's whenever he calls his philosophy transcendental, it is going beyond knowing through rationalism or knowing through empiricism. It is going beyond knowing things to how things are known. That's why he calls it transcendental. First of all, aesthetics, because he is talking about space and time. The two elements marking aesthetics is space and time. ओके, सो हमको ये समझना है पहली बात तो कि ट्रांसेंडेंटल एस्थेटिक्स का एम क्या है, वो क्या करना चाहते हैं. तो इससे पहले कांट ने जो है सिंथेटिक जजमेंट ए प्रायोरी के बारे में बताया है. कैन एनीबॉडी टेल मी व्हाट इज सिंथेटिक जजमेंट ए प्रायोरी? यस, एक बहुत ही अच्छा क्रक्स आपको एक लाइन में लिखवाया था. एनीबॉडी? अभिषेक?
Sir, by synthetic judgment a priori, he wanted to establish that synthetic statements can be a priori.
अरे नहीं यार, ये तो भूपेंद्र जोगी वाला हो गया. शैव्य?
So it is a solution to reconcile empiricism and rationalism, where
नहीं
knowledge is
नहीं.
certain and universal and yet
Yes, yes, second part correct. What is it? It's not a
has
reconciliation,
bearing
it
on
is
state
actually
of
answering
affairs.
Hume's skepticism. But yes, you can talk about the reconciliation also, correct. But what is that exact aim that we discussed, or crux of synthetic judgment a priori? That there exists certain knowledge which is a priori, not derived from experience, and yet it adds to empirical knowledge. यही तो मतलब है सिंथेटिक जजमेंट ए प्रायोरी का. there are certain knowledges which are a priori in nature. A priori means not originating from experience, and yet it is adding to what kind of knowledge?
Certain knowledge.
Not certain. Certain तो हो ही गया a priori होने की वजह से. Yet it is adding to, मतलब न्यूनेस लेके आना है ना हमको. मैथमेटिक्स आपको पता है कि न्यूनेस नहीं है, सर्टेन और यूनिवर्सलिटी तो है. तो कुछ नॉलेज ऐसा है कि जो सर्टेन है, यूनिवर्सल है, एंड येट इट इज एडिंग टू व्हाट काइंड ऑफ योर नॉलेज रिगार्डिंग द स्टेट ऑफ अफेयर्स और फैक्ट, रिगार्डिंग फैक्ट्स. सो सिंथेटिक जजमेंट ए प्रायोरी को हमको साबित भी तो करना है कि ये कैसे पॉसिबल है. हाउ कैन देयर बी नॉलेज विच इज a priori in nature and adding to empirical knowledge? So he has to reconcile the universality and necessity of mathematics with the synthetic element, that is adding new knowledge to empirical knowledge. So for this he goes for transcendental aesthetics. First, he will be proving that space and time are percepts. and not concepts. अब परसेप्ट और कॉन्सेप्ट्स का मतलब यहाँ पे समझ लीजिए, परसेप्ट दैट विच इज originating from perception, concepts that which is based on thought or mind alone. So space and time are percepts and not concepts. They are particulars, not universals. And second, they are not empirical percepts, but a priori percepts. अब ये बहुत ही कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी सी बात है ये, कि परसेप्ट है, जनरली परसेप्ट होगा तो क्या होना चाहिए? Should it be a priori or should it be based on experience?
Based on experience.
Yes, it should be based on experience. But that is where his ingenuity lies. He says they are percepts, but a priori percepts. Isn't this synthesis of SJA here also? Yes.
Yes, sir.
So this is what he is trying to establish. Space and time are percept, not concepts. They are not empirical percept, but pure percepts. This is the first part, metaphysical exposition. Second part, in the transcendental exposition, he will say that unless space and time are regarded as a priori percept, synthetic judgment a priori in mathematics is not possible. Okay. So unless space and time are regarded as a priori, synthetic judgment in mathematics is not going to be possible. So अगर आपसे यूपीएससी ये सवाल पूछती है that how does Kant prove that synthetic judgment a priori in mathematics, so you will also mention about the transcendental exposition that we will be doing today. Understood? Yes. जो वहां पर हमने प्रूफ्स लिखे हैं 7 + 5 = 12 एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ, उसके अलावा आप ये भी मेंशन करेंगे that unless space and time are regarded as a priori percept, synthetic judgment a priori in mathematics is not possible. So we will mention the transcendental exposition part. अब metaphysical exposition में क्या prove करते हैं? He will be establishing that space and time are a priori percepts. Okay. Space and the corresponding notion of time for Kant are percepts, that is particular and not universal. कैसे ये prove करते हैं? By तर्क और hypothetical reasoning. This is actually given by न्याय स्कूल. अगर हमको मान लीजिए प्रूव करना है कि ये यस है, समथिंग इज यस, if we have to establish that something is yes, we will establish its counter, that is no is necessarily false. That is called तर्क और हाइपोथेटिकल रीजनिंग. तो कांट भी ऐसा ही करते हैं, कहते हैं कि अगर ये परसेप्ट नहीं है तो क्या होगा? If it is not percept, then what will it be?
Concept.
It will be a concept. If it is a concept, then what will be the problem? This is what he tries to prove. अब मान लीजिए कि स्पेस एक कॉन्सेप्ट है, तो कॉन्सेप्ट जनरली कैसे आता है? हाउ डू वी अराइव एट यूनिवर्सल? अभिषेक, if we have to arrive at madness, how do we do so?
Sir, by reason.
By reason or by collecting of the common and essential characteristics of everything?
Sir, by collection of common and essential
Common and
characteristics.
essential characteristics. So generally we arrive at concepts by concentrating on common and essential qualities. However, space is really one. There are no instances. 3 feet long, 10-yard distances are not instances, but part of a single space. ये 3 feet, 5 feet, are they common and essential characteristics of space? Yes.
No,
Are
sir.
they common and essential? Yes. No, they are simply parts of the space, है ना? So therefore space is not a concept. एक और बात है, a concept subsumes a number of instances coming under it. For example, अगर हम बहुत सारे particular cows को ले लें, उनका build, color, etc., then we will be talking about cowness. But can we do so for space? क्या हम triangle, rectangle, circle, hexagon, इन सभी को अगर हम subsume कर लें तो will we arrive at the idea of space? Yes?
No, sir.
No. It can only come by what Spinoza said, by negation, not by addition. Because for space, everything is its part which go on to constitute it. Space is therefore not a concept but a percept which is constituted by number of parts called spaces. तो दो आर्ग्यूमेंट देते हैं वो, one from common and essential characteristics, and second, how do you arrive at these common and essential characteristics? So in both the cases, space is not reached by this method. Here, be mindful, he is talking about Euclidean space. This Euclidean space was kind of like Spinoza's space, one reality. Today, space is definitely relative. There is space is no longer considered static, but Kant is talking from the science of his time. So पहली बात तो इन्होंने एस्टेब्लिश कर दिया कि भाई स्पेस जो है एक परसेप्ट है, क्योंकि ये कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं हो सकता, नहीं हो सकता है कि दो कारण इन्होंने बता दिए. It cannot be common and essential characteristic because we cannot derive something from the parts to arrive at the common and essential characteristic of space. Second, अगर हम चाहें कि इनको सबस्यूम कर लें, सारे पर्टिकुलर्स को सबस्यूम कर लें और फिर एक यूनिवर्सल में आ जाएं, then also it's not possible. Space can only be reached by negation, not by addition. Therefore, space will definitely be a percept. It cannot be a concept. अब हमको ये साबित करना है कि it is a priori. A priori as opposed to yes.
A posteriori.
Just give me 1 second. Now, if it is not a priori, yes, rightly it will be a posteriori. So, if it is not a priori, then it is a posteriori. और अगर a posteriori हुआ, तो it is derived from experience, and there are two views on this. One is Newton's view, the other is Leibniz's view. So, Newton क्या मानते हैं कि space and time are objective, existing in its own right. Leibniz क्या कहते हैं? Leibniz is saying space and time is not real. इनका कहना है कि स्पेस और टाइम जो है वो तो रियल ही नहीं. इट इज डिराइव्ड फ्रॉम एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ real, or it is derived from experience of near or far, above or below. ये एक तरफ कह रहे हैं कि रियल नहीं है और एक तरफ कह रहे हैं कि ऑब्जेक्टिवली रियल है। दोनों ही में कांट जो है ही विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट some kind of challenge. What is the challenge? If space and time is objectively real, then it can be known only by experience. And if anything is known by experience, what does the empiricism of Locke, Berkeley, and Hume end up in? Yes,
Skepticism.
skepticism. So it will be denied necessity and universality if it is experience. अब आप यहीं पे सोच लीजिए कि अगर ए प्रायोरी नहीं होगा, विल सिंथेटिक जजमेंट ए प्रायोरी बी पॉसिबल? यस. If we accept Newton's view, will it be possible? Synthetic judgment a priori. Will it be possible if we accept that space and time is objectively real?
No, sir.
No. अगर हम लाइबनिट्स का व्यू माने कि भाई ये तो असली नहीं है, स्पेस का तो हमको मतलब समझ आता है रिलेशंस के थ्रू, नियर फार. So Kant argues that space is presupposed for explaining such experiences instead of taking experience of objects to explain space and time. ये जो near, far, above, below, ये कैसे संभव हो पा रहा है? There is already presupposition of space. इन चीजों की वजह से हो पाता है क्या नियर फार? Yes.
No, sir.
No. So near, far, above, below, high, low, these presuppose space. Space is not known by them. So Newton's view is also not correct. Leibniz's view is also not correct. Secondly, अगर हम स्पेस एंड टाइम को मान लें कि इंपेरिकल है, then it could be accepted as non-existent as in the case of color, taste, smell, etc. जैसे कभी कभी आपको कलर दिखता है, कभी कभी ये नॉन एग्जिस्टेंट होता है, कभी आपको स्मेल आता है, कभी कभी नॉन एग्जिस्टेंट होता है. So similarly, sometimes you should have space and time, and sometimes it should be non-existent. Is it possible for you that every time you are having a smell? Yes.
No, sir.
No. So, however, does this happen that sometimes you are not having space and time? Even when you are unconscious, while you are sleeping, is there a notion of space and time?
Yes, sir.
ऐसा तो नहीं होता ना कि कभी आप रात को सोते हैं और उठते हैं तो रात ही रहती है. Does that happen?
No, sir.
No. So therefore, space and time are a priori. पहले वो ऑलरेडी एस्टेब्लिश कर चुके हैं that space and time are percepts. This thing only he will build upon further in transcendental exposition. He says by transcendental exposition is meant explanation of a concept as a principle from which the possibility of other a priori synthetic knowledge can be understood in simple terms. या बहुत क्लियर कट अगर हम बात करें तो अनलेस, यहां से देख लीजिए ट्रांसेंडेंटल एक्सपोजिशन में आप यही लिखेंगे, अनलेस स्पेस एंड टाइम आर नॉट एक्सेप्टेड एज ए प्रायोरी, सिंथेटिक जजमेंट ए प्रायोरी इन मैथमेटिक्स इज नॉट पॉसिबल. इसमें एक्सप्लेनेशन में आप वही लिखेंगे जो आपने ऊपर लिखा है. इफ स्पेस एंड टाइम आर नॉट ए प्रायोरी, दे विल बी डिराइव्ड फ्रॉम एक्सपीरियंस. टू व्यूज, वन इज लाइबनिट्स व्यू, द अदर इज न्यूटन्स व्यू. दोनों में समस्या क्या है, that part you will be explaining in transcendental exposition. Okay, so conclusion में हम क्या लिखेंगे? Space and time are the two glasses through which we perceive the world of objects. ये एक और explanation है. A child can perceive object only in his own childish way. A dog in his own canine way. So man can perceive object only by space and timing them. mathematical judgments being based on space and time are strictly necessary and universal only because space and time are a priori forms of all perception, and they are synthetic because they are based on pure perception. यहां पर इन्होंने एस्टैब्लिश कर दिया कि मैथमेटिक्स जो है इट इज सिंथेटिक एंड इट इज ए प्रायोरी. ए प्रायोरी क्यों है? बिकॉज yes, space and time are a priori. Why are they synthetic? Because they are based on percepts. So together mathematics will become synthetic judgment a priori because space and time are a priori percepts. Understood this point? Yes.
Yes, sir.
ये बात अगर ये लास्ट लाइन किसी को नहीं समझ आई हो तो आई विल एक्सप्लेन, क्योंकि अगर ये नहीं समझ आया तो आपको ये बहुत समय तक याद नहीं रहेगा. शैव्य, mathematical judgments are synthetic because why are mathematical judgments synthetic?
So because space and time are
Percepts, correct. And they are a priori because
So space and time are a priori.
are a priori. Yes. So because of this, necessity and universality of mathematics comes from space and time being a priori. Yes. And newness or adding to empirical data is coming from space and time being percepts. और मैथमेटिक्स में जनरली आप जो भी बात कर रहे होते हैं, इज इट नॉट विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू स्पेस एंड टाइम? यस. इफ वी कंबाइन मैथमेटिक्स इन दिस सेंस, पहले क्या था कि मैथमेटिक्स और फिजिक्स को बिल्कुल अलग अलग रखा गया था. फिजिक्स वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट रियलिटीज ऑफ स्पेस एंड टाइम, मैथमेटिक्स वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट non space and non-time entities. It would talk about a triangle, but Kant is talking about a triangle shaped और a circular shaped burger. पहले के मैथमेटिशियन जो है वो सिर्फ सर्कल की बात करेंगे. Kant will talk about a circular shaped balloon or a circular shaped or a spherical shaped planet Earth. So there will be sphere which is bringing some kind of necessity and universality to that knowledge. However, this is also adding new knowledge because we are talking of a state of affair and existing planet Earth. That is the difference. And then he goes on to give some things about space and time. We are not in space and time. Space and time is in us. अब यहां से एक चार्ज लग सकता है कि ये तो सब्जेक्टिव हो गया. If space and time is in us, it becomes subjective. But this simply means that space and time are subjective forms of perceiving any object for all humans. For this, Kant says a dream all men dream together and all men must dream is not a dream but reality. See, he is able to even reconcile the different views that a child or a dog or a man might be having. Because space and we are not in space and time is in us. इसका बहुत छोटा सा एग्जांपल है आनंद भाई. If you keep sleeping in coma, for you space and time is static. Yes. If you go to suppose another galaxy, will the concept of space and time change? Yes.
Yes, sir.
हाँ, so while he was not aware, ये तो बेचारे जो है यूक्लिडियन स्पेस पे काम कर रहे थे, and he was working on Newtonian notion of time. Both were static, but inadvertently he is talking about the relativity while considering them to be static. This will be later talked about by Einstein, the relativity, general theory of relativity, where both space and time are considered as dynamic and not static. Okay. Then he makes a comparison, क्योंकि स्पेस और टाइम कैसे डिफरेंट है और हमको जो क्वालिटीज का नॉलेज मिलता है, लाइक कलर, लाइक स्मेल, विच इज ऑल्सो व्हाट वी आर गेटिंग फ्रॉम स्पेस एंड टाइम, इनके बीच में क्या डिफरेंस है. सो स्पेस एंड टाइम की सब्जेक्टिविटी जो है वो एक फैक्ट है. सब्जेक्टिविटी ऑफ सेकेंडरी क्वालिटीज इज अ फिक्शन. देयर इज यूनिवर्सल वैलिडिटी. हियर secondary qualities vary from person to person. For example, some of you, if you are having color blindness, you will not be able to tell the difference between which two colors. Yes. A person who is color blind cannot tell the difference between. Yes. Red and green. So that is why आपका color blindness check होता है. Especially suppose you are a station manager and if you are color blind, or if you are a loco pilot and if you are color blind, would you be suitable for that job? Yes.
No, sir.
No. So they are transcendentally subjective. Space and time is transcendentally subjective, that is universal for all. They are subjective because they are variable and based on knower. Space and time are basis of mathematical precision. Secondary qualities are qualitative, could not be reduced to quantitative precision. This does not happen here. It remains ubiquitous. The idea basically is that space and time, it is not happening at some place. Space and time, it is present everywhere. Whereas अगर हम secondary qualities का देखें तो it is like snake in a rope. It disappears after being checked. Space and time को आप कितना भी बदल लें, it would not change according to you. So he also makes a distinction between what is subjectivity of space and time and what is subjectivity of secondary qualities, which form a major part of our knowledge. So therefore he is somehow making a scope for error. Okay, but we will not be satisfied. We will say that his inquiry is psychological, his conception of space is based on Euclidean, his conception of time is based on Newtonian, since Einstein's theory of relativity debunks Newton and Euclidean. Okay, कंक्लूजन में हम ये लिखेंगे कि इट ट्राइज टू आंसर ह्यूम्स स्केप्टिसिज्म एंड सक्सीड्स पार्शियली बाय हाइलाइटिंग दैट मैथमेटिक्स में कंस्टिट्यूट सिंथेटिक एलिमेंट व्हिच इंक्रीज एम्पिरिकल नॉलेज. ट्राइज, आप इस वर्ड के लिए वो रहेंगे. इट इज नॉट एबल टू एड्रेस बिकॉज हिज कॉन्सेप्ट इज not valid today. Today space and time is not a priori, it is a posteriori. जैसे आप अगर मून पे जाएंगे तो your weight will increase or decrease based on the gravity. You know about gravitational waves, they change the space time fabric, they are able to bend the space fabric. So therefore today his view might not be correct, but at least he has tried to show that synthetic judgment a priori is possible in mathematics. Understood? Yes. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
एक बार जरा क्वेश्चन देख लीजिए कि कितने स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चन है इससे सिंथेटिक जजमेंट ए प्रायोरी से। अभिषेक क्वेश्चन 3 पढ़िए।
How does Kant argue for the transcendence of space and time? Discuss.
Yes. So how does he argue? In his transcendental aesthetics through metaphysical exposition and through
Transcendental exposition.
transcendental exposition. And he will establish what? Space and time are a priori percepts. Shall we read question 5?
Elaborate Kant's theory of space and time. How does this theory enable him to explain how mathematical propositions can be both synthetic and a priori?
Yes. So just in previous few years only, straightforward a question has come. Although technically, is this an easy question to write?
No, sir.
No. But it is a direct question. People don't go beyond synthetic judgment a priori in Kant. UPSC has been finding these kind of weaknesses कि आप जो छोड़ के जाएंगे या जो नहीं वो कराया जा रहा होगा, they will ask that. Okay. Please read 2013 question.
Question number 13. What is the basic difference between Leibniz and Kant on the concepts space and time of
Now,
space and time?
can we write this question? जब लाइबनिट्स में मैंने कहा था कि जब कांट पढ़ लेंगे तब इसको करेंगे. Can we do it now? Yes.
Yes, sir.
For Leibniz, space and time is real or not real?
Not real.
Not real. Yes. Whereas for Kant, they are a priori percepts. They are subjectively real. And that entire classification or distinction you will be doing. टू 2001 में तो देखिए बिल्कुल डायरेक्ट ही पूछ लेते कांट्स कंसेप्शन ऑफ स्पेस एंड टाइम. सो now we don't have time to start the second part, that is transcendental logic, where he will be discussing about 12 categories. But categories पे भी सवाल आपको यहाँ पर दिखा देते हैं. I'll take the next 5-7 minutes just to show कि categories पे भी कितने direct question आते हैं and how easily we will be able to handle. Question number 6. Shravya, please read.
What, according to Kant, are pure concepts? Examine their role in the process of knowing.
Okay. Read question 7.
Explain Kant's division of categories.
Yes. Question 10.
State Kant's view of causality. How far is Kant able to answer Hume's objection that causal relation lacks logical necessity?
Yes. Okay. So what we'll be doing in the next class tomorrow in the morning, that we will discuss the 12 categories of understanding. These categories of understanding are concepts. तो कांट वहां पर ये भी डिस्कस करेंगे कि कॉन्सेप्ट क्या होता है. We have discussed what is percept. Now he will discuss what is concept and the 12 categories of understanding कह लीजिए या the 12 concepts. Okay. So can you see this discovery of pure concepts or categories?
Yes, sir.
So he will discuss what are concepts or what are categories. He will also discuss what are those 12 categories, why he calls them transcendental categories, then where he has taken, why he has taken 12 category. UPSC आगे आने वाले समय में ये भी पूछ सकती है कि why Kant has made only 12 distinctions for categories, because he is basing these categories on the distinction of the kind of judgments by Aristotle. मैथमेटिक्स में जो है आप, सॉरी नॉट इन मैथमेटिक्स, लॉजिक में देखेंगे कि इंटायर लॉजिक इज बेस्ड ऑन 12 काइंड्स ऑफ जजमेंट. फॉर एग्जांपल S is P, S is not P, S is both P and not P. So such kind of 12 categories of judgment has been made by Aristotle. Kant कहते हैं कि thinking, he gives a very simple idea, thinking is judging or to think is to judge. तो जो जजमेंट के कैटेगरीज हैं वही थिंकिंग के कैटेगरीज हो जाएंगे. Okay, but he will say that judgment and thinking are not equivalent to knowledge. When thinking is based on percepts, then it is knowing. So that part also we will see. एक हम we will see the all 4 qualities: quantity, quality, relation, modality. इसको याद करने के लिए भी I'll be giving the acronym, क्योंकि 2015 में ये डायरेक्टली पूछ लिया था. This was for me also a very novel experience, because for me it became very difficult to write all the categories while remembering them in the exam hall. So वहां से मुझे आइडिया लगा कि नहीं, इसको याद करने के लिए भी जो है हमको कुछ ना कुछ निमोनिक चाहिए होगा. Why they are called categories, why 12 categories, why, what is the meaning of concepts, all that part we will be discussing. Now this is this one topic I never expected that UPSC will ask. जब मैं ये नोट्स बना रहा था तो तब मैंने सोचा कि कभी नहीं पूछा जाएगा, synthetic unity of a perception and categories, but luckily enough it has been asked. और इसकी ब्यूटी भी क्या है, you will understand tomorrow that कांट एक तरफ परसेप्ट्स की बात कर रहे हैं, ये परसेप्ट्स जो है 12 कैटेगरीज में जाके जब नॉलेज दे रहे हैं, तो ये जो परसेप्ट्स हैं वो भी ट्रांसेंडेंटल हैं, ये जो कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं वो भी ट्रांसेंडेंटल है. ये परसेप्ट्स ऐसे जाएंगे और नॉलेज आएगा, ये इंटायर प्रोसेस भी ट्रांसेंडेंटल है. And that is why there is synthetic unity of a perception and the categories. So he follows his logic through and through. Percepts को जो है उन्होंने ट्रांसेंडेंटल किया, कॉन्सेप्ट्स जो है उन्होंने ट्रांसेंडेंटल किया, उन्होंने 12 कैटेगरी सभी के लिए बना दिए, स्पेस एंड टाइम सभी के लिए बना दिया, और इन्हीं दोनों से नॉलेज मिलेगा, इस प्रोसेस को भी ट्रांसेंडेंटल कर दिया इन सिंथेटिक जजमेंट ऑफ ए परसेप्शन एंड द कैटेगरीज. That is the beauty of Kant. He follows it through and through. So there is a priori sensibility, then there are from which we get a priori percepts. These are into 12 categories. This entire process or the principle of combination in understanding is derived from synthetic unity of a perception, which is also transcendental. Okay, finally there will be a comparison with Hegel, क्योंकि ये जो categories दी हैं यहाँ पर, unity, plurality, totality, इसी में कहीं ना कहीं छुपा होगा the thesis, antithesis and synthesis or the dialectic method of Hegel. Thesis, antithesis and synthesis. So some argue that the dialectic or the triad of Hegel is born in the categories of Kant. In fact, Hegel कहते भी हैं कि कांट ने जो है कैटेगरीज को रिकंसाइल नहीं किया है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, कांट प्रयास तो करते हैं बट ही डज नॉट फॉलो अप अलॉट ऑन दैट, क्योंकि इनको जो है फिनोमिना तक अपने आप को रखना था. ही डिड नॉट वांट टू गो इनटू न्यूमेना, व्हिच वाज नॉट हिज कंसर्न. But Hegel wanted to go into Numena. Hegel was an idealist, so Hegel goes for, वो कहेंगे कि totality is nothing but unity combined with its plurality. ऐसे वो synthesis करेंगे. Okay, so therefore there is this relation between Kant and Hegel, which we will understand for the categories. That is all that we have to do tomorrow in the morning. If time permits, एक last topic जो है, ह्यूम का skepticism meet कर पाते हैं कि नहीं, एंड सेकेंड दी ट्रांसेंडेंटल डायलेक्टिक्स. ये जो कॉन्सेप्ट्स बनाए हैं, ये 12 कॉन्सेप्ट्स, ये जो है अपने हद से जब बाहर जाएंगे तो देन व्हाट विल हैपन. क्योंकि एक स्टेटमेंट आपको नोट्स में मिलेगा, द लिमिट्स ऑफ नॉलेज इज नॉट द लिमिट्स ऑफ थिंकिंग. आई वांट समडे टू फॉर यूपीएससी टू आस्क दिस. इट्स अ वेरी ब्यूटीफुल क्वेश्चन. आई जस्ट शो वेयर इट इज रिटन. द लिमिट ऑफ नॉलेज इज नॉट द लिमिट ऑफ थिंकिंग. ये जो हमने लिखा है, नोइंग इज इक्वल टू थिंकिंग इनटू परसेप्ट्स. ये थिंकिंग अलोन कैन गो एनीवेयर. व्हेन थिंकिंग गोज बियॉन्ड द परसेप्ट्स, there will be 3 illusions of reason, which we will read in Transcendental Dialectics. Okay, so thinking can be based on pure concepts alone, even in the absence of percepts. This leads to transcendental illusion. That is what we have to study in the third part of his philosophy. So knowing therefore consists in thinking about percepts. ये इनमें से कुछ भी एक सवाल बन के आ सकता है. Explain. Knowing therefore consists in thinking about percepts. This part I'll be explaining in a topic, understanding maketh nature out of things it does not make. Understanding is basically talking about thinking. It makes nature or makes knowledge out of materials it does not make. So understanding is representing here thinking or concepts or 12 categories. It makes nature. Nature is basically the knowledge that you are getting out of things or materials it does not make. What will be these percepts, which is space and time being a priori percepts. This is also the Copernic. Here we will also study the Copernican revolution of Kant. The Copernican revolution and its problems. That part also is integrated in understanding there here only. We'll continue with this tomorrow in the morning at 8 or 9 a.m. And we'll try that Kant is completed so that we can write its questions. Alone, there are many questions. It will take just one class to write only Kant. There are that many types of questions on Kant. So we'll discuss that tomorrow itself. You will have the day to revise Kant. We'll write. At least आप synthetic judgment a priori बहुत easily लिख पाएंगे. ट्रांसेंडेंटल एस्थेटिक्स लिख पाएंगे. हो सकता है डायलेक्टिक्स पे सवाल ना लिख पाए आप, एंटीमनीज नहीं लिख पाए आप, हो सकता है. You may not be able to write. Rest, I think you will be able to write. Division of categories, synthetic judgment a priori possible. What is the difference between these two types? Kant's theory of space and time. Everything else you will be able to write. बस एंटीमनी वाले सवाल जो है शायद आप, मतलब डायलेक्टिक्स वाले सवाल आप नहीं लिख पाएंगे. रेस्ट, why is Kant's philosophy known as Copernican revolution in metaphysics? What was revolutionary about Kantian philosophy? This is just a camouflaged way of asking. Understanding maketh nature out of materials it does not make. Rest, everything else you will be able to write except the dialectics part. Okay. So we'll continue tomorrow in the morning. Till here, please revise the notes so that we can also write the answers of Kant tomorrow itself. Okay. Now at 8, we'll begin our Prahar series revision of stakeholders of development. Okay. Thank you for your time and patience. We'll meet again at 8.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.